I drew every day for 30 days straight. This challenge taught me a very valuable lesson that completely changed my approach to improving at a skill. I will share it with you today so that you can get better at drawing faster. Or you can get better at any other skill really, because you can apply it to any practice. But first, let me tell you that it was not easy to stay consistent throughout this 30-day challenge. I had to travel quite a bit, also while working, because I work remotely, so work follows me everywhere. And honestly, on some days, I really had to force myself. But hard work and dedication, and here we are. After I finished my last drawing, a strange sensation washed over me. I had managed to draw every day for 30 days and complete the challenge, but now that it was over, I don't know, I just felt empty. Sad music doesn't help. But you know what helps? Going for a walk. I heard a neuroscientist say that walking increases your brain's ability to problem solve and think clearly. And it's true. After not even 20 minutes of walking, I knew what I had to do. But I had to walk all the way back. Porca troia, che palle, cazzo. Let's have a look at how these 30 days of drawing went. So I started off with a drawing that actually took me 2 days. And that's because I had to find a reference that I liked for each Pokemon. It took me a long time to color them all in, and I'm quite happy with the result, but yeah, it just took a long time. And so the day after, I decided to take a different approach, and I took a reference from Frank Frazetta, a drawing that I really liked, and just in the hair, I decided to doodle in. So far less references, and I managed to finish it in a single day. And so I took the same approach the day after with a reference that I liked, and I filled in the Pokemons. But on the 5th day is where things really changed and took a turn, because I decided to try and do everything from imagination. And this is what happened. In case you hadn't realized already, there is a right foot here and another right foot there. This chap has 2 right legs. So when I realized that, I just understood that I'm so used to drawing from a reference that when I don't have a reference and I have to draw from imagination, I'm not able to do what I want, really. And so I made it the purpose of this challenge to try and redraw this by the end of it from imagination, but in a much more realistic and anatomically correct way. And so this is what I did. I started practicing basics of art education, that I had never had a formal art education, that I had never done before, like gesture drawings. It took me much more than what you're supposed to. With 30 seconds, it was really hard for me to actually capture the gesture of something, of a photograph and of a figure. And so I spent some days just practicing, and the whole purpose of the challenge from this point onwards was just to learn as much as possible of the basics, of the fundamentals, so that I can become more comfortable drawing from imagination. And after a while I started having a lot of fun with this. And I continued to practice, and soon I realized that instead of looking for a finished piece, a finished drawing, I was benefiting from annotating the things that I should study, the things that I should improve on. For example, here, what happens under the pec, where the rib cage is. I don't know how to represent like all the muscles that come in here that supposedly are quite cool. And so I started practicing and discovering a lot of exercises that artists do to improve their ability of drawing from imagination. Like, for example, here, draw something and then try to imagine it in 3D in your mind, so that you can see the volume in space and you can move it and you can draw it from different angles. Like, for instance, here, try I did a drawing of a tiger, and then I tried to draw it from above or from the ground level, from the floor. This is really challenging, and it's a lot of fun. It helps you a lot. And so I continued to practice, and anatomy, continued to just use this time to learn the fibers of each muscle, where they insert, where they attach, how they contract, try to understand the different joints of the skeleton and the landmarks that these create that you can use in order to make a figure that is anatomically correct. Try to explore perspective, and it's actually way more challenging than what I thought, and it's super helpful to understand how figures become smaller in space and how to rotate things. Continue to practice the basics and getting more comfortable in drawing gestures. Trying to do it from imagination when I could, or gestures from references, composition. Continue to just practice and trying eventually to put everything together and putting a figure in space with perspective indicating how things that are going away from you should be foreshortened, and annotating what things are going well, how the anatomy, for instance, of my knee is becoming better and better, but how I should study the anatomy of the forearm because I have no idea what's going on here, for instance. And the practice started to become more and more helpful to improve my skills. Until eventually, on day 29, I put everything together, a gesture with the landmarks that the bone create, with the anatomy of the musculature on top. And after these figures as a warm-up, I decided to go for it and complete the challenge by drawing again a version of this day 5 work. And what I did was to start with a lot of thumbnails and to understand the movement and how to place the body correctly in it, and to create the effect that I wanted to convey. And ultimately it resulted in this finished piece, which is, for starters, has correct feet, but is, in my opinion, or at least I feel, is drastically better than day 5. And you can see the progress from day 5 to day 29. And that is really thanks to the fact that I didn't continue to mindlessly practice draw what I was already comfortable with, which is drawing from reference, but I brought a specific purpose to the practice. Thanks to having the clear objective of redrawing this piece in a much more anatomically correct way, I learned so much. And really the saying shouldn't be that practice makes perfect, but is purpose that makes perfect.
I just wish I had known this before. There's so many skills I could have learned faster and better. Well, at least now I know the secret to becoming good at something. So I need a project that forces me to draw a lot. But for a specific purpose. I could draw...
Amore!
See?
What was the name of that cool board game where each card is a trippy drawing? Do you remember?
It was called Dixit.
Well, that could be a project. Dixit. I could draw my own custom Dixit cards.
Amore, sei un cazzo di genio.